In the neon-drenched underbelly of Station Nexus 7, where the artificial gravity fluctuated just enough to keep the questionable clientele on edge, Crix 9 contemplated their latest contract through all 7 of their optical sensors. The datapad's holographic display cast an eerie blue glow across their iridescent exoskeleton, highlighting the countless modification ports that marked them as the galaxy's premier elimination specialist. 10 billion credits, Crix 9 whispered, their vocal synthesizer barely containing the mixture of disbelief and intrigue. For one human. The client, a Varixi Corporation executive whose cybernetic enhancements cost more than most planetary systems, sat across the table, their chrome-plated fingers drumming an irritating pattern on the scarred surface. We've done our research, Crix 9. You're the only one with the expertise and creativity required for this particular task. Crix 9's primary heart quickened its pace while their secondary and tertiary hearts maintained their steady rhythm, a tell they'd spent centuries learning to control. Something wasn't right about this contract. The target was Isabella Torres, Earth's chief diplomatic representative to the Galactic Council. A human. Just a human. Why such an astronomical sum for a single human diplomat? Crix 9's question caused their specialized sensor arrays to focus on the executive's subtle biological responses. The slight increase in synthetic adrenaline production. The microscopic dilation of augmented pupils. Let's just say there are certain parties who would prefer humanity's voice in the council to be temporarily silenced. The executive's smile didn't reach their cybernetic eyes. The method must appear natural. Accidents happen, after all. Even to humans. That should have been Crix 9's first warning sign. In 3 centuries of professional elimination work, they'd learned to trust their instincts. And right now, every modified nerve ending in their biomechanical body was screaming that this contract was different. But 10 billion credits could buy a lot of answers. Back aboard their stealth vessel, the Silent Equation, Crix 9 began their standard pre-contract research. The ship's quantum AI compiled data from across the galaxy, building a comprehensive profile of their target. The results were concerning. Computer, verify these survival statistics. They can't be accurate. The AI's response was instantaneous. Data verified through multiple independent sources. Subject Isabella Torres has survived 3 shuttle crashes, 1 antimatter containment breach, exposure to 5 different supposedly lethal alien pathogens, and what appears to be an assassination attempt involving weaponized probability manipulation. Crix 9's optical sensors contracted. Elaborate on the probability manipulation incident. According to reports, a quantum assassin attempted to alter local probability fields to ensure Subject Torres would experience a fatal accident. The attempt resulted in Subject Torres winning 3 different planetary lotteries and discovering a new form of faster-than-light travel while making tea. For the first time in 2 centuries, Crix 9 felt something approaching uncertainty. Their specialized targeting systems ran probability calculations of their own, attempting to make sense of the data. Humans were supposed to be fragile. Their single-heart circulatory system, their lack of redundant organs, their dependence on a narrow band of environmental conditions, all of it suggested vulnerability. Yet the more Crix 9 researched, the more they found similar patterns across human history. Survival stories that defied explanation. Incidents that broke the laws of probability. Humans walking away from situations that should have atomized more durable species. Computer, display visual feed of target's current location. The holographic display showed Isabella Torres in her office at the Galactic Council headquarters. She was doing something utterly inexplicable, balancing a cup of hot liquid on her head while juggling what appeared to be 3 active plasma cores, all while conducting a diplomatic video call with the hive mind of Sector 7. Fascinating, Crix 9 murmured, their tactical systems already formulating and discarding plans. Computer, begin compilation of known human elimination attempts across galactic history. Focus on methods, success rates, and unexpected outcomes. The data that scrolled across their visual field would have made a lesser assassin resign on the spot. Humans surviving direct hits from planet cracker weapons. Humans accidentally becoming immortal after botched poisoning attempts. Humans treating deadly radiation as a mild inconvenience. But Crix 9 hadn't become the galaxy's most feared elimination specialist by backing down from a challenge. They had a reputation to maintain. Besides, they reasoned, adjusting their molecular structure to better process the stress hormones now flooding their system, how hard could it be to eliminate one single human? As the silent equation plotted its course to the Galactic Council headquarters, Crix 9 began to formulate their first approach. Something elegant. Something foolproof. Something that would prove once and for all that even humans weren't immune to the laws of physics and probability. They had no way of knowing that this contract would not only challenge everything they thought they knew about their profession but would also force them to question the very nature of reality itself. And somewhere in her office, Isabella Torres continued juggling plasma cores, completely unaware that she was about to become the focus of the most elaborate elimination attempt in galactic history. The game was about to begin, and the stakes were higher than mere credits. The reputation of the galaxy's greatest assassin was on the line, and with it, perhaps the very understanding of what humans truly were in this vast, strange universe. Crix 9's first attempt was a masterpiece of subtlety. After 3 days of preparation, they had corrupted the environmental controls in Isabella Torres' private quarters to slowly replace the oxygen with an undetectable noble gas mixture. It was elegant, untraceable, and had worked flawlessly on 17 different species. The assassin watched through their quantum surveillance feed as Isabella entered her quarters after a long day of diplomatic negotiations. She took one breath of the doctored atmosphere and frowned. The air feels a bit thin today. Almost like that time I went climbing on Everest. To Crix 9's horror, Isabella proceeded to pull out what appeared to be an ancient Earth exercise device, a jump rope, and began an vigorous workout routine. Nothing like a bit of low-oxygen training to stay in shape. After 20 minutes of watching their target practically bounce off the walls in an atmosphere that should have rendered her unconscious in seconds, Crix 9's tertiary heart began to develop an arrhythmia. Computer, analyze subject's respiratory patterns. Analysis complete, the AI responded. Subject appears to be adapting to the modified atmosphere. Cellular efficiency has increased 47% in the past 15 minutes. Warning, if current trends continue, subject may develop enhanced oxygen processing capabilities. Crix 9 quickly restored the normal atmosphere before Isabella could evolve any more survival advantages. Back on their ship, they began planning something more direct. Their reputation wouldn't survive if word got out that their target had treated a lethal gas mixture as an exercise enhancement. The second attempt involved a classic, gravity manipulation. Crix 9 spent a week modifying the artificial gravity generators in the council chamber where Isabella was scheduled to give a presentation on human-alien cultural exchange. The plan was simple, alternate between crushing gravity and zero-G so rapidly that organic beings would be reduced to their component atoms. As the presentation began, Crix 9 activated their device. The gravity in the chamber began to fluctuate wildly. Most of the alien diplomats were immediately plastered to either the floor or ceiling, depending on the millisecond. Isabella, however, merely adjusted her stance and continued her presentation without missing a beat. And as we can see from these cultural exchange statistics, oh, how delightful. She executed a perfect backflip during a zero-G moment, landing gracefully as the gravity increased tenfold. This reminds me of that wonderful anti-gravity dance club on Mars. Now, if you'll direct your attention to the holographic display. She proceeded to use the gravity fluctuations to create an impromptu interpretive dance while continuing her presentation. The alien diplomats, those who weren't busy being violently ill, were utterly mesmerized. By the end of the session, 3 different species had submitted formal requests for human dance instructors. Crix 9, watching from their hidden observation post, had to use all four of their mechanical arms to massage their stress-induced headache. Their target had turned what should have been a lethal trap into an interpretive art performance. It was almost admirable, in a deeply disturbing way. The third attempt was born of desperation. Crix 9 hired the infamous quantum pirates of the ninth dimension, beings who specialized in altering the fundamental constants of reality itself. The plan was to temporarily change the strong nuclear force in Isabella's immediate vicinity, causing her atoms to simply stop being atoms. The pirates, after accepting an obscene amount of credits, struck while Isabella was taking her morning walk through the council's botanical gardens. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist around her. Plants nearby began speaking in mathematical equations. Time started flowing backwards for a few unfortunate bugs. Isabella's response was to pull out her phone and start taking pictures. "This is amazing," she exclaimed, as causality itself took a lunch break around her. "The quantum fluctuations are creating the most beautiful patterns. This would make a wonderful backdrop for our next cultural exchange presentation." The quantum pirates, beings who had once made a black hole cry, fled in confusion. One of them was heard muttering something about retiring to become a quantum accountant instead, a much less stressful profession. Back on their ship, Crix 9 was reviewing the footage with something approaching religious awe. "Computer, run a complete analysis of all three attempts. There has to be a logical explanation." "Analysis complete," the AI responded after a few moments. "Subject appears to possess what can only be described as plot armor, a theoretical quantum state where probability itself conspires to ensure survival. Additional analysis suggests that direct attempts on subject's life may actually be strengthening this effect." Crix 9's optical sensors dimmed in thought. Their target wasn't just surviving their attempts, she was thriving on them. Each failure seemed to make her more resilient, more adaptable. It defied every law of nature they had spent centuries studying. But there was something else, something that their specialized assassination protocols hadn't been programmed to handle: curiosity. With each failed attempt, Crix 9 found themselves less frustrated and more fascinated. How did humans like Isabella do it? What was the secret behind their impossible resilience? As they began planning their fourth attempt, Crix 9 realized they were no longer just trying to eliminate a target. They were conducting the galaxy's most explosive scientific study on human nature. And somewhere in the council headquarters, Isabella Torres was adding "survival of quantum reality disruption" to her already impressive diplomatic resume, blissfully unaware that she was helping rewrite everything the galaxy's deadliest assassin thought they knew about the nature of existence itself. "The Galactic Archive access is granted, but I must warn you," the ancient AI librarian's hologram flickered with concern. "Researching humans tends to cause existential crises in most sentient beings." Crix 9's modified brain processors were already running hot from 3 straight days of research. Their ship's medical AI had suggested a complete system shutdown twice, but they couldn't stop. Not when they were finally starting to see the pattern. Display historical footage, human survival incidents, cross-referenced with elimination attempts, sorted by impossibility factor. The archive's quantum processors hummed. Footage began playing across multiple holographic screens: a human surviving a spaceship explosion by riding the shockwave on a piece of debris, using it as an improvised surfboard. Another human accidentally discovering faster-than-light travel while trying to microwave a burrito. A third human surviving a black hole by, according to the official report, being too stubborn to accept the laws of physics. Computer, analyze common factors in all survival incidents. Analysis complete. Both their ship's AI and the archive AI responded simultaneously. Primary common factor: humans consistently refuse to acknowledge when something should be impossible. Crix 9's optical sensors contracted. Elaborate. Unlike other species, humans appear to have never received the universe's memo about what is and isn't possible, the archive AI explained. They simply do things without checking whether those things violate fundamental laws of reality. The assassin's secondary processor began to spark. But that's not how reality works. Correction, their ship's AI interjected. That's not how reality works for non-humans. Footage suggests humans operate on their own separate set of physical laws, which they frequently ignore anyway. Crix 9 needed answers. They began reaching out to other professional eliminators across the galaxy, setting up secure quantum meetings in various virtual spaces. The responses were troubling. I tried to eliminate a human once, a void stalker assassin shared, their shadow form trembling at the memory. They treated my deadliest shadow toxin as a recreational substance. Started a whole trend. Now there's something called shadow yoga spreading across 3 sectors. A probability assassin, speaking from what appeared to be a meditation retreat, looked haunted. I calculated 100 trillion fatal possibilities. The human walked through them all and somehow ended up discovering a cure for an incurable disease. I'm in therapy now. Even the legendary mirror walker, known for trapping targets in infinite reflection loops, had a story. The human turned my infinite mirror maze into an amusement park attraction. It's now the highest-rated tourist destination in the Andromeda Galaxy. I received a thank you note and season passes. Back in their ship, Crix 9 began compiling a comprehensive database of human survival mechanisms. The list was becoming absurdly long. Treating lethal radiation as a mild suntan. Using vacuum exposure as a meditation technique. Converting deadly toxins into alternative energy sources. Accidentally achieving immortality while trying to cure hiccups. Surviving time paradoxes through sheer confusion. But it was their research into Isabella Torres specifically that truly broke their understanding of reality. The diplomat's file contained incidents that made other human survival stories look tame by comparison. Computer, display subject Torres' first contact incident. The footage showed Isabella's first meeting with the crystalline hive mind of the Silicon Confluence. The beings, known for accidentally shattering organic life forms with their intense thought waves, had apparently tried to probe her mind. Instead of dying instantly, Isabella had engaged them in what she called a brainstorming session that somehow resulted in the invention of a new form of psychological therapy in 3 unique ice cream flavors. The Silicon Confluence now considered her their entertainment director. Crix 9's primary processor was beginning to develop what organic beings might call a migraine. Computer, statistical analysis. What is the mathematical probability of one species consistently surviving everything the universe throws at them? Error, calculator has achieved sentience while attempting to compute these numbers and is now questioning its own existence. Suggested course of action, accept that humans operate outside normal probability parameters. As if to punctuate this point, Crix 9's surveillance feeds showed Isabella currently teaching a class of young diplomats how to negotiate in hostile environments. Her demonstration involved juggling antimatter containment spheres while reciting poetry in 17 alien languages simultaneously. I think I'm beginning to understand, Crix 9 murmured, their vocal synthesizer crackling with dawning comprehension. The question isn't how to eliminate a human. The question is, what are humans, really? Their research had led them down a rabbit hole deeper than any assassination contract had before. The more they learned about humans, the more they suspected their clients' true motives weren't just about silencing a diplomatic voice. There was something bigger going on here, something that touched on the very nature of reality itself. As Crix 9 began planning their next move, they realized they weren't just an assassin anymore. They had become something far more dangerous, a scientist on the verge of understanding one of the universe's greatest mysteries. And somewhere in the council headquarters, Isabella Torres was accidentally discovering new laws of physics while making her afternoon tea, blissfully unaware that she had turned the galaxy's deadliest assassin into its most dedicated xenoanthropologist. Crix 9 stood in their ship's planning chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing hundreds of failed assassination attempts on humans throughout history. Their seventh appendage tapped nervously against their exoskeleton as they finalized the details of what would either be their masterpiece or their greatest humiliation. Computer, initiate operation paradigm shift. Warning, their AI responded, proposed plan violates 73 laws of physics, 12 temporal ordinances, and at least one rule of grammar. Probability of success approaches negative infinity. Perfect, Crix, 9 said, their vocal synthesizer humming with what might have been excitement. That means it might actually work on a human. The plan was insane, which made it the most logical approach they'd conceived so far. They would trigger a cascading series of reality-warping events around Isabella Torres, each one designed to be increasingly impossible to survive. The theory was simple, even humans had to have limits. Right? Phase 1 began during Isabella's morning routine. Crix, 9 activated a quantum uncertainty field that caused every atom in her coffee to simultaneously exist and not exist. Most beings would have been caught in the paradox and folded into the quantum foam of reality. Isabella took a sip and brightened. Oh, Schrödinger blend. My favorite. She proceeded to share the reality-breaking beverage with her colleagues, spawning a new coffee trend that would later win 3 theoretical physics awards. Phase 2 involved manipulating probability itself. Crix, 9 deployed probability bombs that created zones where the chance of survival was mathematically impossible. The zones spread through the council headquarters like cosmic soap bubbles, each one containing its own pocket of impossibility. Isabella walked through them all, somehow causing each bubble to collapse into what witnesses described as tiny bursts of good fortune. 3 different species achieved enlightenment just from watching her morning commute. Fascinating, Crix, 9 muttered, their tactical systems struggling to process what they were seeing. Computer, initiate Phase 3. Phase 3 was their masterpiece, a time loop trap that would catch Isabella in an endless moment of maximum improbability. The mathematics had caused 3 quantum supercomputers to achieve sentience and immediately retire to contemplate the nature of existence. The trap sprung perfectly. Reality folded in on itself around Isabella as she was giving a presentation on human-alien cultural exchange. Time began to stutter and loop, each iteration multiplying the impossibility of survival. Isabella paused mid-sentence, looked around at the fracturing nature of spacetime, and smiled. Oh, this reminds me of that delightful temporal anomaly I encountered during my university years. Did I ever tell you about how I wrote my thesis on temporal mechanics while stuck in a time loop? She proceeded to use the temporal distortion to give her presentation to every possible version of her audience simultaneously, somehow achieving universal peace in 17 different timeline variants. The time loop trap collapsed under the weight of her enthusiastic participation. Crix, 9, watching from their hidden observation post, felt all 3 of their hearts skip several beats. Their target hadn't just survived the impossible, she had weaponized it. Used it. Improved it. But then something unexpected happened. As reality reasserted itself, Isabella looked directly at Crix 9's supposedly undetectable hiding spot and winked. You know, she said to apparently no one, if you wanted to discuss the nature of human resilience, you could have just scheduled a meeting. For the first time in 3 centuries, Crix, 9 felt what organic beings called panic. Their cover was blown, their perfect record was in shambles, and their target was inviting them to a meeting like this was all some sort of cosmic joke. They were about to flee when Isabella added, I make excellent coffee, the regular kind, though I can do quantum if you prefer. And I think you'll be very interested in what I have to say about why your client really wants me eliminated. Crix 9's tactical systems froze. This was either a trap or an opportunity, possibly both, given humans' tendency to defy binary outcomes. But as they processed the events of the past few weeks, they realized something profound: they had completely forgotten about the contract. Somewhere between the quantum coffee and the time loops, their mission had evolved into something else entirely. They were no longer trying to eliminate Isabella Torres. They were trying to understand her. To understand humanity. And now, Faced with direct contact, they found themselves doing something no professional assassin should ever do: they stepped out of the shadows. "I prefer my coffee traditionally quantum entangled," Crix 9 said, their stealth field dissolving. "And yes, I believe we have much to discuss." Isabella beamed. "Wonderful. Though I should warn you, the last assassin who joined me for coffee ended up becoming a best-selling novelist. Something about humans being better as story material than targets." As they followed Isabella to her office, Crix 9's probability processors calculated a 100% chance that they were making either the best or worst decision of their career. Somehow, both options seemed equally appealing. Perhaps they were finally beginning to understand how humans thought. Little did they know, this conversation would not only reveal the truth behind their contract but would also uncover a galaxy-spanning conspiracy that had been trying to understand, and contain, humanity's reality-breaking potential for centuries. And Isabella Torres, master of impossible survival and apparently excellent barista, was at the center of it all. Isabella's office looked exactly like what you'd expect from someone who regularly bent reality, organized chaos. Star charts covered the walls, each marked with coffee stains that somehow formed perfect fractals. A quantum probability calculator sat on her desk, repurposed as a paperweight. A small sign on her desk read, "Keep calm and defy physics." Crix 9's sensors detected at least 17 impossible things happening in the room before Isabella had even finished preparing their coffee. The potted plant in the corner appeared to be evolving sentience while simultaneously solving complex mathematical equations. "So," Isabella began, sliding a cup of perfectly quantum-entangled coffee across her desk, "I assume you figured out that the Varixi Corporation isn't really behind your contract." Crix 9's primary processor stuttered. "Explain." "The Varixi executive was just a front. Your real client is an organization called the Universal Constants Conservation Society, a group of beings who believe humanity's tendency to ignore the laws of physics is a threat to reality itself." Crix 9's optical sensors widened as their tactical systems processed this revelation. "The society is real? I thought it was just a conspiracy theory discussed in assassins' lounges after too many neutron shots." Isabella laughed, the sound somehow causing nearby probability waves to harmonize. "Oh, they're very real. And very concerned about humanity's, let's call it our unique approach to existence." She pulled up a holographic display showing a vast network of connected events, each one a documented case of humans casually violating the laws of physics. "They've been trying to understand and contain us for centuries. Your contract wasn't just about eliminating a diplomatic voice, it was a test. They wanted to see if the galaxy's greatest assassin could find a way to make humans follow the rules of reality." "But why?" Crix 9's vocal synthesizer cracked with confusion. "Why go to such lengths?" "Because," Isabella said, her expression turning serious for the first time, "they're afraid. Not of our technology or our diplomacy, but of our fundamental nature. You see, humans don't just ignore the laws of physics, we change them. Reality itself adapts to accommodate our stubborn refusal to accept limitations." She gestured to a screen showing statistics from various human colonies. Each one displayed subtle but significant changes in local physical constants. "We're not just surviving the impossible, we're redefining what's possible. And that terrifies them." Crix 9's probability processors were working overtime. The coffee shop incident on Proxima Centauri, where reality rewrote itself to create a new form of faster-than-light travel just because a barista refused to accept that she was running late for work. Exactly. Isabella sipped her coffee, which briefly existed in all possible quantum states before settling into something that smelled suspiciously like victory. "But that means..." Crix 9's tactical systems finally made the connection. "Every failed assassination attempt was making us stronger," Isabella finished. "Each time someone tries to eliminate us using the laws of physics, we adapt. Learn. Change. Not just individually, but as a species. We're like reality's immune system, constantly evolving to handle new impossibilities. Crix 9 sat in stunned silence, all three hearts beating in an impossible rhythm. Their entire career had been based on understanding and exploiting the laws of reality. But humans didn't just break those laws, they rewrote them. So what happens now, they asked, their assassin's protocols struggling to find a suitable response to this situation. Isabella smiled that reality-bending smile again. Now you have a choice. The Constance Conservation Society will expect a report. You could tell them what they want to hear, that humans are a threat that needs to be contained. Or you could tell them the truth, that the universe isn't breaking because of humanity. It's evolving. Growing. Becoming more than the sum of its parts. Just like you've been doing since you took this contract. Crix 9's processors whirred as they realized she was right. In trying to eliminate Isabella, they had evolved beyond their programming, questioned their assumptions, explored impossible possibilities. They had become more than just an assassin. I choose truth, they said finally, their vocal synthesizer resonating with newfound purpose. Though it may violate several universal constants. Isabella beamed. Excellent. Welcome to the human way of thinking. Though I should warn you, the side effects may include spontaneous reality distortion, enhanced probability manipulation, and an inexplicable craving for coffee. As if on cue, the potted plant in the corner solved the last digit of pi, immediately caused a minor temporal paradox, and began brewing espresso. In the days that followed, Crix 9 submitted the longest and most unusual report of their career to the Universal Constance Conservation Society. It contained only one recommendation: stop trying to make humanity follow the rules of reality. Instead, let's see where their impossible possibilities take us. The report was met with outrage, denial, and eventually reluctant acceptance, especially after it spontaneously rewrote itself into 17 different quantum states, each one more convincing than the last. Crix 9 never took another elimination contract. Instead, they became the galaxy's first quantum probability barista, serving impossible coffees to beings seeking to understand the human approach to reality. Their cafe, the failed assassination, became a popular meeting spot for humans and aliens alike, known for its specialty drink, the Isabella Special, a beverage that existed in all possible states until observed, and somehow always tasted exactly like what you needed most. And Isabella? She continued her diplomatic work, though she now had an unusual partner in her mission to help the galaxy understand humanity. After all, who better to explain humanity's reality-breaking nature than the assassin who had failed to eliminate it? As for the Universal Constance Conservation Society, they eventually rebranded as the Universal Constance Appreciation Society, hosting regular seminars on embracing impossible possibilities, the human way. Their newest board member, a certain reformed assassin, always brought the coffee. The universe, it seemed, had finally learned to stop trying to make humans follow the rules, and started learning to break them properly instead.